the news parade of the year.
As the new year dawned, headlines of tragedy, interest, and amazement, as yet unknown, faced the universe. But carried over to the echo of crashing bombs and devastating gunfire was the Spanish Rebellion headline. Pounding at the gates of Madrid, General Franco's rebel forces demolished suburb after suburb in their threat to capture the historic Spanish capital. Later in the year, Franco's forces entered Bilbao. 40,000 shells a day fell on the suburbs as loyalists attempted to break the siege of Madrid. Natives scattered anywhere, everywhere, in their terror-stricken attempts to flee the devastated areas. Cellars were flooded and foundations threatened in this torrential downpour. Londoners did not expect this headline and were taken completely unawares. America's greatest peacetime disaster. In the early spring, throughout the South and Midwest, scenes of courage and pathos were thrust together. Tragic scenes were enacted as natives deserted inundated towns. 100,000 workers strove to hold back restless overflowing dikes and levees in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Missouri. Thousands fled for safety. Saving horses and cattle was a problem. A headline the United States will not soon forget. Following his coronation, Great Britain's ruler, George VI, reviewed the Grand Fleet in a majestic and colorful marine parade. The Royal Yacht. He greets his officers as Queen Elizabeth looks on. The English Navy's grand headline. Was shocked. Hundreds of families bereaved as the result of this terrible catastrophe. A schoolhouse packed with innocent girls and boys in a flash became a smoldering tomb. A headline of never-ending sorrow. Industry crippled, workers idle, as capital and labor failed for weeks to reach mutual agreements. The motor industry was at a standstill. Strikers tied up the waterfronts on the east and west coasts. Signs of the times, a headline of unrest. America's first billionaire, who hoped to live to 100 years, but failed after a courageous effort. A headline of mourning. The world bowed its head in sorrow when this headline was blazoned across the front pages of the world's press. Amelia Earhart, ace of all women pilots, vanished. U.S. Navy and Air Forces joined in the most thorough search for a human being ever instituted by an anxious nation. Her last picture. Despite the tragic ending of the Hindenburg flight, man continues to dominate the air. With Boyne's Ireland as the last stop in their transatlantic flight, the clipper ship braved unknown dangers to inaugurate what will eventually be daily service between the two largest cities in the world. Over New York City and a safe landing at Fort Washington, a headline of progress. The greatest non-stop flight of all times, 5,288 miles over barren, frozen wastes. Over the top of the world. The intrepid airmen after 63 hours in the air. In Moscow, their return was heralded in a manner never before witnessed in Russia. A thrilling headline. Despite a multitude of protests, Justice Black took his seat in the U.S. Supreme Court. A headline of amazement. San Francisco to Oakland, California, the greatest engineering feat of its kind known to any generation. The headline of a dream come true. Millions packed the streets of Berlin in a tumultuous greeting of Italy's dictator and his momentous meeting with Adolf Hitler. The eyes of the world were focused on them as their eyes watched the cheering multitude and the marching soldiers. What can the answer be? Only the future can tell in the headlines of destiny. Headlines from the Far East. Shanghai bombed. Air raids strike destruction and devastation. Barrages sweep entire districts from the air. Thousands perish. The undeclared war of blood and hate. Nanking. Again Japan's mail fist strikes. But courageous China meets the invading forces with amazing fortitude. Japanese air forces attack congested districts. Bomb after bomb falls, sending added thousands to havens of safety. Storm clouds of war burst into torrents of flaming fire. But this Japanese airman feels the sting of Chinese steel.
Japan's Mikado, Russia's Stalin, Germany's Hitler, Italy's Mussolini, United States President Roosevelt.